Hi guys, and welcome to this week's reading and crafting vlog, wherein we're going to be reading a bunch of new releases off of my TBR to kind of get through with them, see my thoughts on them. And on the crafting end of things, I've got all the materials here with me, my yarn and my hook, to go ahead and start crocheting and also hopefully finish out crocheting an entire blanket, because here on vacation I have a lot of time to basically do what I want. I'll be done with hopefully a blanket by the end of it to cuddle up in, obviously, but also because my mom's birthday is coming up, this is going to be as a gift for her. And honestly, it feels like the best use of my time at the moment, which is why that's what we're going to do right now. Let's just jump right in and see how many books I can listen to as I go ahead and crochet my blanket and see the whole process as it goes out. It's going to be a long one, and so let's just jump right in. So now for context, while I am showing you the materials and stuff, I'm not starting this blanket off from scratch. If you haven't been keeping up with a couple of my past videos, I have already made somewhat of shawl progress. I'm not showing you the whole thing because I'll get to that in a second, but I've made it since January of 2025. There's a couple different videos, I'll have them on screen if you want to catch up. But the thing is, I made it as part of a mini shawl in this specific yarn for my mom's birthday last year. The only thing is the shawl turned out to be a little too short to actually use for her, and while she did offer to give it to a tailor and have them kind of sew in some cloth and make it longer to the length she wanted, I feel like it would defeat the entire purpose of the crochet project and also kind of risk messing it up, to the point where I decided I'll take it into my own hands. I'll continue extending it both ways along into the actual length she'd probably want, which is an entire wrap around cuddle blanket and whatnot. The point where we are technically crocheting a blanket is just not from scratch. I want to just go ahead and continue on with this, which I have about 39 inches of, make it double the length it is at the moment, and hopefully get all of that done in the span of the next week so I have it ready for her birthday, which is why I have my yarn here, I have my hook, I'm ready to go. The only problem is the yarn is not the same color as this already, because this color has been discontinued since the time I started using it for blanket, because I can't find it anywhere online, which is why we will continue with this burnt other sort of color, whatever it is, emerald. Please see the way things go out. I already have one side finished out from the past vlogs I've been doing on vacation, if y'all been keeping up again from the past couple of weeks, to the point where now I just have to work on one side, do borders. We'll see how that goes, but at the moment, at least as I'm speaking, I've already gone ahead and finished the entire vlog out, because for whatever reason I lost my intro the first time I did it, which is why I already know how this process is gonna go. It's gonna be a long one. We're gonna get through a bunch of books, which is why stay tuned to see what happens next. It's just, for me personally, it's gonna be a fun one because I'm gonna get a huge blanket out of it. You'll get to watch me come along with it. We're gonna get on the whole process of seeing how that bandwagon goes and finally complete it, to the point where now I'm ready in time to give it to my mom for her birthday. See how that goes, and that's basically the whole point of this week's reading vlog, which is why let's just jump right into my first update of when I finished out the first book for this video, as I was working on the other side that I hadn't completed working on as I was extending the blanket, if that makes any sense. But here we are anyway. Let's just jump right in, and it's gonna be a fun one. Okay guys, update number 1 time. I've gone ahead and finished audiobook number 1. This one's called Game On, recently came out. It's the last one in the Lights Out That series. I think it's called Into Darkness, and now that I'm caught up on this, I do believe this is the last book in the series, so that's the series checked off for me as well, because I'm done reading it at this point, or I guess listening to it. While I was listening, for whatever reason, the way I threw in my yarn in the bag last week, it was all tangled up, so I had to unknot it and stuff. And because I'd already listened to quite a bit of it a couple nights ago when I was making my thumbnail for the video to post, I managed to basically finish the entire thing out without even starting on the side of the project that I have to continue on right now. There's no progress on that aspect. It's only on the wool that I managed to sort out, but regardless, I'm done with the book now, so we will start the next book. I already did start technically. I will update about it in a second, and then we'll hopefully move on to bigger and better things, essentially starting the actual project right now. But until then, update for this book specifically, so I can give you a summary and some thoughts, because I have quite a few things to say. And here we are. In this, we follow Tyler. He is the first guy, Josh, his roommate essentially, and he's always been introduced as this intriguing character, but this one you finally get his backstory and you realize that he actually had a really traumatic childhood growing up. His father abandoned him and his mom before he was born, thanks to which he kind of dealt in poverty and stuff, knowing that he has a rich asshole father. He had to deal with food insecurity and losing his mom at a very young age in the way that he did, to the point where that's basically his villain arc. And now growing up, he has made something of himself, not in a good way, in the sort of illegal way, because he runs a bunch of gambling rings and parties and whatnot, thanks to which he's definitely made money, and he's on the same socio-economic economic status as the father, to the point where now he's been planning his revenge for years, and he's finally at the stage in life, money-wise, that he can actually accomplish it. Except there's one last step in the plans that, you know, is going to happen now, and that's how the girl is introduced in the book. But basically, that's Tyler, the guy. Now, the FMC, we have Stella. Her brother actually ends up going to one of Tyler's parties and whatnot, ends up gambling away his entire inheritance, to the point where now he owes Tyler, and to settle the debt, Tyler essentially gives it to Stella or something like that. He transfers it, and the way she's gonna like get it out and whatnot, the cover story he gives her is that she'll fake date him to kind of take her in her family rings and whatnot, because they are from like a really popular, really rich, wealthy family, and they run in the same circles as his father essentially, because her parents and his father are the co-founders of this company. So he'll essentially fake date her and whatnot. They'll go to like these parties and whatnot. He'll get in close contact with the father and kind of ruin him from inside. Except the story he gives her is that they're gonna fake date so he can find more clients at these places to like involve in his gambling schemes and make more money, I guess, until her 3 million debt is paid off and whatnot. And so they start it off that way and whatnot, but then also while he's mailing her, I don't know, something about each other intrigues them and whatnot right off their first meeting, to the point where they want more than just what's going on right now, in a very weird Stockholm sort of syndrome form. You start to see these two people in a very unlikely way fall for each other, but they have lots of secrets amongst themselves and whatnot. She doesn't even know his real name till like the 80% mark, and there's quite a few things coming in the middle, to the point where they can't be together, and then also the things with his revenge and stuff, which is why that's basically the story. And for me personally, I feel like this just, I don't understand how this series just kept getting worse. I don't remember shit about the second book. The first book, it was funny, yes, but then looking back, I feel like this entire series just wasn't worth reading, because I didn't have the best time. The first couple, they were at least 3-star reads, so not too bad. This one's an easy 2-star. I don't understand the plot and the direction this book took. Pacing is very off, because like majority of the book, you're focused on his revenge, and then finally towards the conclusion, when you're supposed to actually wrap things up and get an answer to things, I feel like it was very like unfinished. I have so many questions, and just the way it was done, it was sped up towards the end, and towards the beginning it was too dragged out. So pacing, like I said, is off. Their connection, it's very physical right off the bat. I can't see these two people in love, and something else gets introduced in their relationship at one chapter only, and then towards the end it's brought up again, which makes zero sense, because there was no like context into it or supporting that thing. Is just coming up, which again threw me off. So there's obviously that, but then there's also the fact that he just feels like such a monumental piece of shit the entire time, and while you do get this like sort of justification why he is the way he is, it still isn't enough for me. I hated him as a character. I feel like she's like 35 and she's behaving like an emo goth girl, and you know, she definitely has things she's gone through in the past that makes sense, but in my head she's 35, he's 25. They just don't make sense. It's supposed to be reverse age gap in a way as well, but they were just acting like kids honestly in the locker room, and just being like all weird and macho in the worst way possible. So for me personally, not a fun book. I hate it every second. I'm just happy to be done. I don't even know what I read at this point, which is why 2 stars. Many like traumatic scarring scenes in here that I just don't want to talk about, because I'm sorry, that should have come, those specific scenes, with like actual trigger warnings, because I'm not really interested to read shit like that. And so here we are. I'm done listening to this now, I guess, and thankfully won't be going back to this again, because that's the end of the series, I believe, which is why here we are. First book is out of the way. I do believe I had like a couple more criticisms to give, but I just can't remember them right now, in a good way to say that at least I'm forgetting the book, so I don't have to like go on living my life knowing I've read something like this, because I didn't have a good time personally. It just made no sense to me whatsoever. And so here we are. One thing I will say though, now that this is done and whatnot, I did start our next audiobook, only a little bit of it. It's another fun release, and hopefully this one now gets me back on track with the good side of things, because it's the new Lynn Painter book, and for whatever reason the cover reminds me of Taylor and Travis, which is why let's see if that one picks up and makes me feel better. But for now, this one's done. I'm gonna go continue listening to my book, actually start on the project now, cutting my blanket, the other edge of it, and we'll see how that goes. But now on to book 2, because book 1 was such a flop. I need a good book, and this is just like the universe's way of showing me that the previous read I had before this one was a 5-star, and then what happens next, I find the worst read I've ever read a 2-star, which is why it just makes sense. What goes around comes around, and now hopefully my next one will be better. But yeah, I don't want to fall in a slump. I don't want to read something like this again, and hopefully the next one saves me, because it's Lynn Painter. But we'll just see. I'm gonna get to it, and I'll update y'all in a bit. Bye. Alright, so I'm done with the next book. This is the new Lynn Painter. It wasn't very long. In fact, I feel like the audiobook was definitely shorter than my usual read and whatnot. And because I was listening to it sped up, I was done in no time. But still, as I was listening, I was able to get only 2 lines done, which is so interesting. Because back home, I timed myself while I was like crocheting and whatnot. And it took me about half an hour to do 1 line. But at this point, it's taking so long. And I think partly it's because when I was timing myself, I was like fully locked in, rushing to get the line done. Here, I was taking my own time and, pace and whatnot. But also because I've been having like horrible hand cramps recently. I don't feel like moving my hand, but at the same time, it's my mom's birthday very, very soon, literally only a couple days left. I have so much progress I still have to make. And listen, she's my mom, she's done so much for me. The least I can do is go ahead and finish that blanket out for her, because at this point she knows it's coming. All right, she's known it for like since last year at this point, because it's basically the same thing I gave her. This is only like an extension of it, but it's still just gonna be so fun to like get it done in time and then have her use it and whatnot, because that's just gonna bring so much satisfaction and it's gonna be worth that moment. It's just until then, the process of getting there, it's sort of killing me right now, because every time I look at it, I'm kind of questioning what I'm doing on it itself. I feel like that's any craft project, when you're looking at it with the same eyes, it gets old really fast, which is why here I am. But I did manage to get 2 lines done at least. I need to do 12 on the side that I'm working on, so I have only 10 more left, which hopefully we'll speed through the rest of them, who knows. But like I said, as I was working on it, I did go ahead and finish out the new Lynn Painter book, and so I'm here for my update on that, and then we'll pick up something new, maybe switch things up a little bit for the next one. But until then, basically, one's called First and Forever. You know how yesterday I said that reminds me of Taylor and Travis on the cover? Literally, as I read the book, they had a scene wherein the couple, they were singing Exile together in karaoke. I'm sorry, you can't like prove me wrong in this case, even though like the story doesn't really make sense to like that and Travis in real life. It still just reminds me of them, which is why there's that. But the actual story of the book for this one specifically, you follow Duffy. She actually ends up going to this football game with her dad, because he's like a huge fan of the Coyotes team essentially, which is their local hometown team. And the thing is, all seems to be going great until she like pushes the mascot of the team essentially down the stairs, and she pushes him because he was making a move on her and she just didn't want that. But then the internet never really saw that. They just saw that, she pushed him, and then she like calls some bad luck or something for the game, and suddenly they think she jinxed it, so they're calling her like football Karen and stuff. She's become a meme online. People are being horrible to her in real life, and it's just not going that great, which is why she ends up getting this like interview on this like morning show to go ahead and clear the air up. And on the other side, the guy coming in to like co-host with her is actually Connor Cunningham, who is also part on the football team and whatnot of the same mascot that she pushed off. I'm not making sense right now, but at the same time, I don't really watch sports, I don't know. And the football we play here is very different from American football. I just found that out recently when Taylor and Travis and all of that happened, because I didn't know shit before then. They use their hands to like throw the ball, which is, it's so interesting to me because we don't do that here. But anyway, for their football specifically, he is something on the team. I'm not really sure, because again, don't know a lot about sports. But he ends up coming from their side because their PR wants to like clear things up as well, because their mascot kind of ruined the team image and whatnot. And so Connor comes on the interview. He and Duffy have this like verbal sparring match, and that also ends up going viral on the internet, and suddenly people are shipping the two of them together. And for some more good PR, because things start to finally seem to be going in the Coyotes way, the team, his people ask him to ask her out on a date essentially, and it's like engineered right off the bat and whatnot, just to get again good image and whatnot. But then as all of that's happening, he's falling for her, and then we know where that story goes. But for me personally, this is just so sad to say, because every Lynn Painter book I've read is a banger. I don't know how this one flopped for me, because I was looking forward to it being like so good. It was on my 26 and 26 to read. It starts off very insta-lovey, especially from the guy's side, and I don't see their connection. It felt like a bunch of like random romance movie sort of montage scenes coming in together to like fit in, that just didn't really make sense, and I didn't really see that connection, and I couldn't like understand what was going on, which is why it's 3 stars. It's not bad, because there were some moments that I definitely had like fun with and whatnot. It's just some things were going too fast. It definitely went 0 to 100, and I couldn't see like the context behind it, which is why for now I think I will read like a different adult rom-com by the same author, and then figure out if I want to read more of those. But otherwise, I think I'm just going to be a Lynn Painter YA girly, because the 2 ones I've read by her, they've just been such close 5 stars that I've gone back and wanted to to reread, to the point where I think I'll just stick to those otherwise in the future, because those, they're just so good. There's like context built up and whatnot. You can definitely see the emotional connect in the characters, and you can see how the love is truly being formed off that aspect. Here, it just, in my opinion, it didn't work, which is why, unfortunately, again, 3 stars is not a bad rating. It's just not my favorite book of hers, and I went in with more expectations, but at least next time I will know what to think about before going in. And this was this book. Now the next book, I'm thinking to like swap things up and whatnot by actually reading something on Kindle, and you might ask how that works. And the thing is, I've seen a bunch of people online, after they've memorized their stitches and whatnot, read on the Kindle, but their hands are working doing the crochet, and I thought that would be so interesting to try out, because I've never done it before, but also because, listen, I know the stitch at this point so well, because I've been working on the same damn blanket for 17 months now, that I feel like it would be a test of how fast my speed would go as well, which is why I'm thinking right now that the next one I will pick up as a Kindle book. But if that does not end up working out, we'll do some sort of audiobook anyway and continue listening as I do the last remaining 10 lines that I've got left, which will still take quite a bit of time, I understand, but hopefully the next book, it's enough to at least get me to a decent way of progress, if not halfway, just under, because I'm so behind on the project right now. I need to give it to my mom by her birthday, which is in a couple of days, like I said, and I'm scared that I won't get it done in time, because I want to get it done to a nice little border, make it all fancy and pretty, and just, it's kind of scaring me right now knowing that I might not be able to, but at the same time I think it's time to lock in, book it, and see how it goes, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'll get back to it now, pick out my next book, and I'll see you all in a bit with the next update for the next read. But cross your fingers that the next one gets me quite a few way through the project and the story, and hopefully it's a better one than the last couple of reads have been, and I'm gonna get to it now, so bye. Okay guys, so it's been another couple of days. I've finished our next book out, but before anything, at this point, it is Saturday. It's the day I like to sit down and start editing this video to get it ready in time for posting. But at this point, I actually don't think it's coming out tomorrow or even, on Monday, because I'm so far behind on the project that I don't think I'll be able to catch up, because honestly, my hand cramps, they're getting really bad. They just keep getting worse every day, so that's number one. And number two, I'm trying to like space out the time I'm putting into this and balance it out with the time I'm spending outside as well, because vacation, I'm only meeting some of my relatives here for brief amounts of time and whatnot, because I won't get to like hang out with them now until directly next year when I come in again for my beach vacation. And so I want to kind of live in the moment as well while I'm here, and kind of hang out with everyone who I haven't seen for a while over here as well, which is why in devoting the time there and the time here, maybe I should have like worked on this project at home and whatnot and gotten it done then, because at this point it doesn't look like I'm getting it done anytime soon. I will get it done before my mom's birthday, that's definitely for sure. It's just for this video specifically, I don't know how much longer it's gonna take, which is why we're still gonna keep working at it. It's just that's gonna be the reason the video comes out a bit late, but here we are anyway. I did go ahead and finish out the next book, which was the Kindle book. I wanted to try something out new, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. It feels like such a waste of time, because that book was like a little over 300 pages, not too long, but frankly I don't think I'm the sort of person who can focus on the book and then on the project as well. Maybe I need to practice it with something easier, because this stitch is firstly complicated with all the holes and stuff in it that you're supposed to mesh out and do correctly, and then also the fact that you're supposed to be counting chains and stuff like that. It works when I'm on audio, it doesn't work when I'm trying to focus on a Kindle book, keep looking up and down, which is why for me personally it took me the span of the entire book to finish one line out, which is why we're finished with 3 lines at this point, on the 4th, and that's horrible progress. We still have like 12 lines total to go, and to which, because I'm on number 4 now, that means 8 left, and it's kind of crazy. Still gonna take a little bit, but I did finish our book out, and so it's just funny. I'm going to come update about it, and then now we'll switch back to audiobooks, because clearly the Kindle pace is not going to work for me, considering the fact that I still want to get in time for my mom's birthday, which is why I did finish out reading No Matter What, the new Cara Bastone book, on my Kindle as I finished like 1 line of this, and so update on that. In that, we follow Rose and Wynn's life. Basically, they got married 8 years ago. They've been in love for even longer. They're literally soulmates, except there's this accident that happened like a year ago that's like kind of crushed them and distanced distanced each other from like themselves and whatnot, because they were busy healing and recovering and kind of trying to move on from that. But at the same time, they weren't really communicating, and they were finding it hard to like figure out where they stand relationship wise, which is why now fast forward to present day, which is a year after the accident, Ross finds out that Wynn, who she can't even look in the eye anymore, has got like a new lease for like a new apartment. He's moving out, they're probably getting divorced at some point, and she's broken hearted, so she tries to like run away and escape from the whole thing, and she ends up going to scope out the new apartment he's got the lease for, except she figures out that there's like a drawing class being conducted there, and she somehow ends up signing for it, and suddenly now every week, every Friday, she's trying to like go attend that class and get new meaning into her life, but also hang out with her husband, so Wynn, his little brother, who's basically her best friend. That's how they got together and whatnot, and still try to like have her moments with his family at this point, because when they break up, she probably won't even have that left, and try to like build a life outside of it. Except as she's doing all of this, she is realizing that she's still in love with him and whatnot, and she wants to fix things before it's too late. And so there's that. There's another aspect of them trying to connect through art and using that as a healing medium, wherein she needs like a figure to draw for her model like art class and whatnot, and he volunteers, and then throughout all of that, they're being vulnerable, they're exposing each other to each other, and it's really sweet. But for me personally, I feel like this book could have definitely been condensed to like an email, maybe like 10 pages long, because there's no miscommunication in this book. Don't get me wrong, everyone says it is, but in my opinion, it's not miscommunication when they're just not communicating at all. They speak like two words to each other, and then they take their own meanings assumed out of it, and when you finally get to like the end conflict of how things happen and how things truly went wrong and whatnot, it could have been condensed if they just spoke in full sentences to each other, which I find so interesting, because they've been married for 8 years, and obviously the accident was devastating and stuff, but they can't really speak to each other, and they just haven't developed that skill over the span of 8 years, and that's just weird to me, because like, what do you mean they don't speak more than a couple words a day to each other until the part where they start reconnecting again. And when you finally get the story behind everything, like, yeah, it makes sense, but at the same time, it did not feel like it was worth my time, simply because again, it kind of pissed me off. Don't get me wrong, there is miscommunication definitely there, but it's more so a lack of communication and them making their own opinions of that, which is what I thought was prevalent in the book, which is why here we are. Honestly, not the best read ever. If you don't like those tropes, probably don't read it, because for me personally, I thought I'd really enjoy this, because I like seeing like books wherein the relationship is in parallel, and then they like have like a second chance moment where they're trying to fix themselves. For example, You Deserve Each Other, that's like one of my favorite books ever, but it did not work in this case for me personally, which is why this is like a solid 3 stars. It might even be under 3, but at the moment it feels like a 3, just because the side characters made the book, and that's why here we are, which is very disappointing. But also, I can't wait to read a couple more of her books whenever I do get the time, and so I will read some more. It's just this one specifically wasn't like a hit for me. One thing though, Ready or Not by the same author, which I really enjoyed, we have a cameo, or kind of like a spoken cameo of a couple of the characters from that towards the end of this, which was really fun to read about. And overall, yeah, I'm not like mad I read it or anything. The cover is great, the story, it probably wasn't for me and whatnot, but here we are anyway, done with it now. I'll move on to the next book. Hopefully we find something better than all these mid-reads I've been having. But yeah, let's see what I end up picking up on audiobook next to continue crocheting, and hopefully we'll get some more progress in on this, because I need to start bucking up right now. We're really far behind. I just don't know when it's gonna happen, but let's do this. Alright guys, it's lock-in season officially, because I have finished our next book. I am going on my way to start the one after that, and hopefully that'll be the one that ends off this project finally, because I've been working on it for like 17 months at this point. I'm kind of tired, but here we are anyway. We'll go back to it now. I don't remember where I last was in terms of progress, and obviously I can go check, but I'm feeling lazy right now, which is why wherever I was at the last point and whatnot, at this point, after I've gone ahead and finished the next book out, it's still in the bag. Again, this proves my laziness. I haven't even bothered to remove it, but basically I managed to start the 7th line, just a little bit of it, before the audiobook got over, to the point where I still have the whole 7th line to go, and 5 more lines on top of that, which means we have 6 lines left before the finish line essentially, because then both sides of the extension of the blanket will be done, and all I need to do is a border. Except I actually kind of need to get this done by tomorrow evening, anyhow, the whole thing, which means, you know, we need to finish the lines, we need to finish the border, I need to go back in and weave the ends, maybe like pack it up and make it nice for my mom, which means it's time to buck up right now. So all things aside, I feel like after this book, I think I want to pick up this one fantasy book that's been on my TBR for a bit. I've been looking forward to it. It's like a new release, and I'm assuming it's going to be a longer one, which means hopefully we can get all those tasks done as I'm listening to that book. That's actually for future me to decide, basically me in 10 minutes after I'm done with this clip. For now specifically, I came in here to update because I managed to finish listening to the next book that I was currently listening to as I hit the 7th line. It's a romance, and this is called The Daisy Chain Flower Shop or something like that. It's the new one in the Dream Harbor series, and if you've read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and whatnot, it's that series basically. And the way it works is that we follow Daisy in this. She comes from like a long line of daisies who have all looked after their family flower store, except she doesn't seem to be the happy-go-lucky sort of person, the happy, positive sort of person you would expect running a flower shop, because she's not optimistic in the least bit, because she's been very unlucky in love, and that's led to their town Mayor Kelly. He believes he's clairvoyant, and he sees like things in his dreams that he believes are like predictions. He predicted that her shop is actually cursed because of the fact that she's not been able to find true long-lasting love before, to the point where if anyone gets their flowers done from there, they're probably gonna have, you know, relationship issues themselves as well, to the point where now she's running out of business because everyone feels like she's cursed. They don't want to like take it from her and whatnot, to the point where she's actually scared that the shop is going to close down under her, which is why she's not really happy. And then there's her. On the other hand, we have Elliot. He's the town newcomer. He was introduced in the previous book during a wedding and whatnot, staring at Daisy, and right off the bat, you know, he's got the biggest crush on her, except he himself has, you know, come new to town and whatnot because he was running away from his own relationship troubles, something that ended in the past that kind of messed him up really bad, to the point where he isn't necessarily looking for love at the moment because he's had, again, a bad experience with it. He's just come to like start a whole new life over in the town, except they're both at the same place at the same time. I guess wrong place, wrong time. Does that make sense? The point where they end up pretending that they're dating and whatnot, and they can't like break it off anymore because people will think that's further proof for the fact that she's cursed, to the point where now they're actually going to act like they're so in love so that people think the curse is actually lifted from her and go buy her flowers. Her shop will be flourishing again. He can have his mother get off his back about the fact that, you know, she's concerned that her son hasn't found like true love yet, and you know, they'll just hang out together and whatnot. What could go wrong? Except every fake dating book ever, they start falling for each other, they don't know what to do, and there's that. Another storyline aspect that's introduced is the fact that they're actually digging into the history books, and they realize that Daisy's got a great aunt Daisy, a long lost relative essentially, who looked exactly like her and who used to be very like forlorn, sort of just like Daisy. Daisy assumes that she's got relationship troubles with the other man she's pictured in the photos with, who resembles Elliot exactly, and so she's also wondering if this is their second chance at life or something like that. Except the whole plotline that was introduced with that, it just, I'm sorry, it cringed me out. I thought it was so annoying. It was boring as hell, and I feel like these books, they can be a good like pastime and whatnot, but this was definitely the worst of them I've read so far, because just know that it starts off very insta-lovey. They're, you know, attracted to each other from the first page and whatnot, but then there's like this small town aspect introduced, and you know, it's like a good book to read if you have nothing else to really get to, quick to breeze through, but then also it's just not my favorite. At this point, I don't even know why I'm still reading the series, because they are only good when you have the couple introduced in the previous book. So the way the author does it is that the next couple for the next book that's coming out gets introduced in the current book, and that's the only time that couple is really interesting, because in their own book it's always botched somehow, which is why this is like a 2-star from me. I was bored the entire time, did not see the connection per usual, didn't have like a really great time reading, but at this point I got it done anyway, and I don't know if I'm gonna read the next one. Maybe I will. At this point, I'm only reading for the covers, so I don't even want to say I'm not going to, because then that'll be on camera and whatnot, and then going back, it's gonna be funny that I've read it and then I said I wouldn't and whatnot. But yeah, the only thing that's really great about these books is that the covers are cute, and maybe the small town vibes sometimes are great, but otherwise it's just not the best time ever, especially in the romance department. And for me personally, I don't know why I'm spending so much time convincing myself to like get through with them, because I really don't know why I'm doing it at this point. The next couple, we've already been getting crumbs of them in this book that were really fun to read about, but in their own book, I just know it's not going to be that great. It's going to be this guy, Elliot, his brother, and the vet, I'm assuming. Anyway, we'll see when the time comes around to that, when it gets released, if I'm ever actually going to read it. At this point, I'm just like spitballing here, so here we are. I'm done with it at this point. Did get some good progress in. I feel like the most progress any book has given me so far on this, which means now I'm gonna go jump into our next book. Hopefully that's like a better read than this one was, and hopefully we'll get a good chunk of progress done tonight itself, because my goal is actually to try to finish all of this tonight, so I'm not rushing tomorrow last minute. But at the same time, it's not really realistic, so we'll just have to see what I end up doing. Hand cramps are feeling a lot better today, which means hopefully we'll have some more speed, but again, it really just depends. So gonna get back to my reading. I'll update you all in a bit with the next book, and just pray that my reads get better, because at this point this entire video has just been 2 and 3 star reads, and you know, it's kind of frustrating reading like books over and over again just for them to feel like carbon copies of each other with different tropes thrown in. And maybe that means I need like a change of genre, which I'll definitely give myself, but I don't know, I feel like I'm slumping out. I just need a good book, and hopefully the next one will be it, which is why here we are. I'm gonna get to it now. See you all in a bit, and bye. Okay guys, and so now after 17 months of so much hard work put into like one specific project, completely at odds with the sort of attention span I've got, I have come in to finally announce that I am done crocheting this entire shawl. Look at how thick it is. It's literally like a carpet in my hands, but it's finally done. I'll give you all like close-up clips. I'll give you b-roll throughout the video as well, so you can like see what it turned out like. But as I finish this off, I've also finished our final full-length book that I'll be reading in this video, which is why first we'll speak about that, then we'll get on the subject of this, because I have a couple things to say, and then I think that's it for this video and this entire series. Because can you believe I'm finally done after so many months of working so hard on it? I started in January of 25. It's finally done. It feels so insane. It's kind of weird, you know, waking up knowing I don't have this to get back to, because you know it's over, which means I can hop on to other projects, but it's done, and that's crazy. That was like a huge chunk of my life, and it's finally done. So here we are. The book specifically, I ended up reading Broken Dove. This is the second one in the fantasy series of Silver Elite. That's the first book. I don't really know what the series is actually called, but I'll give you a summary for the first one specifically, not this one, because then that would be spoilers, and so you can kind of decide on the basis of that if you want to read it. Because the first one, at the time of me reading it, it was 5 stars. Looking back, I haven't thought about it once since I finished it, to the point where I, you know, lowered my rating, if that's what it's called, to like maybe like a 3.5, 4 star. It wasn't too bad. It really was fun in the moment. It's just I never thought about it since. Too high of a pedestal for like a 5-star of mine, which is why here we are. And so I figured going into the next one, really high expectations, because the previous one ends on like the biggest cliffhanger. So excited to get to it. Maybe this would actually be a sustaining 5-star that I thought about all the time, because again, the story just sounds so interesting after where we left off. But I'm disappointed because this was like nearly 600 pages and it feels like a big waste of my time. So let's speak about it. In the first book, we have Silver Elite basically, and for like a quick premise, we follow this like dystopian world and whatnot, wherein there's this sort of like mutation in the population. So there's like 2 kinds of people. One of them are called primes. They are basic like common people and whatnot, nothing special to them. They're just like regular old human beings. The other sort, they are the modified. They're called mods essentially, and they are basically like the primes, except they have one modification, and that is that they have psychic abilities. So that makes them more powerful than the primes, who are basic common people, to the point where there have been several like uprisings and like discontent among the people throughout all the years, to the point where at the moment at least the primes are in the ruling power. Their government has been established in a way that if anyone comes across as a mod and whatnot, doesn't matter if they're good or bad, if they have powers, they're supposed to be executed, to the point where all the remaining mods who haven't been, you know, sought out and killed at this point, they're living in hiding just so like they pass their time out till their own uprising and revolution can kind of take over. And it's always this like war-like situation in this world. And so for our story, basically we follow Ren. She is a mod in this world, and she's been in hiding ever since she was a kid, and she got these powers, except one careless mistake later, she's in the crosshairs and she's in the attention notice of, you know, the ruling government there, and they end up sort of like enlisting her, conscripting her into one of their most like lethal training camps in the military. It's called Silver Block. Kind of picture what what happens in fourth wing in a very loose sense, because this is very much like that, except now she needs to get through that training, not die over there, because there's like everyone trying to like prove their worth over there. They would literally kill you in your sleep just to like get ahead in the game, and also not like come out as a mod and whatnot and have people actually see her true past, because she'll be executed for that anyway, treason to the state. And amongst all of that, there's also her commanding officer of Silver Block, who's called Cross. He has his own suspicions about her. She's trying to like prove him wrong, but at the same time, you know, they start hanging out. There's insane chemistry there, so they're trying to figure out what goes where with that as well, because they are on opposite sides of the, you know, fighting and whatnot, which is why nothing permanent can be pursued. But it's a really interesting story. It takes many different turns, especially towards the end of it. And there was so much about this book that I genuinely loved the first time I read it, the first book, because there's obviously like the high stakes life or death sort of situation. There's all the training, and then there's the romance and everything else that comes with it. There's her past, her trying to discover all of it, trying to figure out who's an enemy and who's not, and then crazy plot twist toward the end of it. But for me personally, the second one lacked all of these different aspects that I mentioned that I enjoyed reading the first one, because there was no action in this whatsoever. At the beginning, she has to make a big decision on which side of the war she wants to, you know, be part on as the right side of history. But then after that, it's just like stuck in this like monotone. There's really nothing happening in terms of plot. There's no stakes whatsoever. It's just like basic day-to-day mundanity, and then there's like a love triangle introduced, which made it even worse, because like, you know, right off the bat who she's gonna end up with. It's just love triangle is almost like introduced as like filler, because you don't have like romance happening between the main leads, and the author somehow still wants to push in some sort of romance so the reader isn't bored, and this can qualify as romantasy, which is why I feel like it was taking place, but it was very unnecessary, and that kind of ruined the book for me, because I couldn't care less. Okay, the person I did want to see wasn't in the book a lot, maybe like 10% total, and then the person we did get to see, I can't care less. It was physical, it wasn't the best. I couldn't see any sort of emotional connect, and now it's made the situation very messy for the next book coming up. But I will say the last like 50 pages of this do go crazy. We do have a couple like crazy insane things happening, to the point where while I did not like this book, I was bored out of my mind. I can't believe this is a follow-up to that, because I really enjoyed that despite the fact that I lowered my rating of it. This was horrendous in my opinion. I still will read the next book in the series, because I've heard somewhere that it's a trilogy, just to see how it wraps up and where the story goes next, because I am intrigued enough. It's just I don't think I'll ever read anything else by this author if they come up with something different and whatnot, because again, I just don't think it's very much my speed, which is why for now this is like a 2.5 star read, but just barely, because I hated every second of it. It felt like torture. But I'm done listening to this now, and for whatever reason this was like nearly 600 pages but not worth any second of it. So I should have just picked up like a couple of 300-page books instead, because I'd have been done with those and enjoyed them probably better than however long and monotonous this was. But anyway, I'm done with this. By the time I was done with this, I was also done crocheting like the main part of the body of the shawl. It's just there was no border done around, and for me personally, I wanted to like neaten the edges. That's something I didn't do last time, and I thought it would look really cute for this, which is why I went around with like a line of single crochet, and then on top of that a border of one slip stitch and then one skipped, and then like a chain and another slip stitch, if that makes sense and whatnot. It's like a braided pattern. You can look it up online, people explain it better than I'm doing. But all of that to say, I did go ahead and still have to do the border when I finished this, to the point where I did start one more book. I did manage to get through 1 full hour of it before I managed to finish this out completely, weave in my ends. But the thing is, I didn't finish that book, and that's another 500-page book I picked up. Again, wasn't really thinking straight. It was late in the night, so like, what do you expect? To the point where it's called Rules of the Summer, something like that. It's the new Meghan Quinn book. I read her summer book of last year and really had a good time with it, but for whatever reason, again, just did not realize this was 500 pages before I picked it up, and I don't think I'll be finishing it out for the rest of this video, because again, I'm done with the project for this video. I don't have like yarn to start a different project just to like finish this book out for this vlog, because this is the only yarn I got for this specific thing for the summer, which is why I will go listen to this on my own time and update about it in a different video, kind of cohesive into that hopefully. And so you'll see my thoughts on it there, but I did manage to get through 1 hour of it as I was like listening and whatnot. And I just quickly wanted to mention that, because that is another book added onto the roster. It's just I wasn't able to get it done in time, and that's again no harm no foul, because that's just another book I wanted to read and I'll get to soon. But with that, we are done speaking about the books for this video. I did manage to get through 5 in this video, and again, throughout the past few months, even if this hasn't been part of videos and stuff, in the background as I was listening to a couple of different audiobooks, I'd always do a line here and there, to the point where I actually cannot tell you how many books I may have listened to total while kind of making this. But I would, if I were to like guess and whatnot, I'd say like an easy like 20 or so, because genuinely this is huge. once I lay it out for you on b-roll, you'll definitely see how it turned out like. But with that, I'm finally done with the shawl as well. I'm done with the books, and I don't really understand why I was rushing, because I still have a couple days to give it to my mom. But that is to say, at least I don't have to like rush now, because I know I'm done making it. I feel like everything of it has turned out just the way I wanted it to, with the border and the length and whatnot, and like the way even the color combo has turned out, because I wasn't sure about it, but I feel like it looks pretty good at the moment, at least in my opinion. And frankly, at this point now that I'm done making it after like 17 months of work on it, genuinely I don't think I'll be picking up a crochet hook for the next few months, for the near future at least, because I'm so tired of it. You won't see me crocheting anything until Christmas probably, which is why I'm going to take a break on that front as well, because my hand has been hurting like crazy. Every time I move it, it feels like extremely shitty, which is why, again, perks of making like a huge project, but it's done in time. I can give it to my mom soon for her birthday. We'll see her reaction to it all. Hopefully she ends up liking it, because she has been seeing me working on it and whatnot in the background for the past few days. She just hasn't seen the final product now, because I made sure to like do it behind her back, do it in the night when she was sleeping, so she wouldn't really know. But with that, yeah, I'm finally done making this for her. With that also, we have reached the end of this video specifically, because the whole point of it has been achieved. The blanket has been made, shawl, whatever you want to call it. It's huge. I can't even hold it on camera the way I used to like the past few times, but that is all in all to say that's exactly what I wanted the purpose of the video to be, and I have achieved it. And with that, we have now reached the end of this vlog as well, because we have accomplished what we came out for, which is why y'all enjoyed coming along with me for this long video of making like one of the biggest projects I'll probably make in my entire lifetime. Like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And if you've got any like new release book recommendations for me specifically, please leave them in the comments, because at the moment, with all the like random not so great books I've read that I've been excited for, but they just don't turn out to be the best, I feel like I'm falling in a slump, and I just need something, you know, that's fast paced but also good and like holds my attention and like is a probably 4-star and whatnot, nothing less, because at the moment that's all I'm craving. I want a good book, and hopefully y'all can tell me about it. But until then, yeah, we have reached the end of this vlog, and now I'll see y'all directly next week whenever I do, hopefully on time, unlike how late this video has been specifically. But yeah, I'll see y'all, and until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching this video. Bye.